and welcome to 10 out of 10 Mood Watch again with Lauren and Russ.
Hello.
And because you guys were super cool about us having a week off last week, we've brought you not one, but two movies today. We are doing a double feature.
Ooh.
I know, we spoil the crowd. So this week we're doing The Shining and Doctor Sleep, which is basically just the best double feature ever.
Basically, aye.
Like, we're going to, pre-warning, we're going to talk about both movies, but we're also going to dabble in like the books and the mini-series. So we're going to try and keep it as concise as possible just about the movies, but you know, we're like, we love a tangent, so I'm promising nothing. Ross, do you have your usual for both of them?
Of course I do.
All right,
Wikipedia is my friend.
Sorry, how dare I question your professionalism?
Don't look at me. Right, so first of all, we'll start with The Shining. That's the first one.
That's the first one.
So it came out in May 1980 for America, then in October 2nd for United Kingdom. I imagine that'd be the international release.
Aye.
Which is, obviously, we'll go into detail about why we think it's like there was such a big difference between the time between them.
Yep.
Directed by Stanley Kubrick. Big Kubrick done a lot of movies.
Big Kubrick done.
Aye, film bros love him.
We don't so much, but we'll get into that later on.
Aye, it's alright. So, Shining starring Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Scatman Crothers, and a shout out to Danny Lloyd.
Wee man.
A budget of 19 million, and according to Wikipedia, my very vast, deep research, and the box office was 47 million.
Sorted. But it didn't start off that way, but we'll get into that later.
Aye.
Get in for Doctor Sleep.
Oh, you want me to do it now? Pulling double duty already.
Listen, this whole thing is just going to be you and me bouncing about. They don't know where we're coming from. They don't know what points are hitting next.
Aye, so Doctor Sleep, released November 2019.
God, was that 2019?
Aye, it was. Yeah. Directed by Mike Flanagan.
Yes.
Mike Flanagan, obviously, Oculus. He done the Haunting Hill House.
Hush.
Netflix thing, Hush, aye.
Man's a hero. A hero in this household.
Aye, so starring Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson. That's kind of your two.
The big ones.
Like the biggies in it. Budget of 50 million and a box office of 72.
Only 72?
Only 72 million quid.
I'd have thought that would... Never mind, whatever.
Aye.
People are wrong.
People are wrong.
So, general overview. Dad gets cabin fever and terrorises family. And then the surviving son deals with the trauma and helps a wee lassie for a creepy hat lady. Sound about right?
In the first one, no, but
I'm trying to mash the two of them together. I'm trying to do something here, Ross.
That's fine. On you go.
Alright. So, why do you love these movies? Because I have a lot to say, so I'll let you go first.
I mean, The Shining's like one of the most iconic, biggest horrors, or whatever you want to call it,
100%.
genre. It's a bit hard not to like it.
I know. I mean, as well, I feel like if anybody walked into our house, they would automatically be like, you guys Shining fans? Like,
aye.
Every year, like, people buy us Shining related things, like, accidentally, and we've barely bought any of them. We've got, like, bath mats, prints, I've got a scarf. You bought me a really cool pair of Shining trainers for my birthday a couple of years ago.
Yeah, sure did.
Like, we've got key rings, we've got all this, and it's like, I feel like we both love The Shining, and then we turned around and we were like, oh no, our house is like a museum to this movie. What about Doctor Sleep? What do you love about Doctor Sleep?
None. I've went blank.
Movie shite.
Shit.
Remember though, when, I know we obviously spoke about this in the It podcast, but It 2 and Doctor Sleep were round about the same time they came out, and we were like, oh my god, Doctor Sleep, no, how dare they touch The Shining, blah blah blah, and loved it. You and me walked out the cinema like, why did we think that was going to be terrible? It was so good.
I think the difference, like, between both, also is both Stephen King, like, adaptation, is Mike Flanagan
is the man.
He's
hands down.
He really can, like, take Stephen King stuff and do well with it.
Yep.
I mean, with this, obviously, like, he's taking a lot of themes for The Shining for the other, like, the shows and that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Although they are haunted, like, house.
Yep.
Like, shows and that, but it's more, you can see a lot of The Shining and that in it, so you can tell he grew up and
loving it.
I hope he did. I just copied it, an absolute belter.
Yeah, sorry Flanagan if we've just exposed you there.
I think you, like, was it Haunting Hill House? You could, even when we watched this has got a lot of The Shining in it.
Yeah.
Whereas the It one's just, I don't know, like the second one especially, it just felt so weird. But we couldn't really. Like, once we watched that chapter 2, then we went and seen Doctor Seuss. It can't really be worse.
No.
But then it just blew our expectations.
Totally. I think this is like my dream double feature. Like, I am never not in the mood to watch The Shining.
Yeah.
I'm never not in the mood to watch Doctor Sleep. I will always prefer The Shining over Doctor Sleep just because it's like the first one you saw, freaks you out, like so good.
Aye.
But like Doctor Sleep, I think the more I've watched it, the more I'm like, yes. And then again, like we came out of Doctor Sleep and this was like in the middle of my like Stephen King interest. Like I went and got all the books on Audible and stuff, and I did the Shining book and the Shining not the Shining the Shining book and the Doctor Sleep book. And obviously we'll kind of get into bits and bobs about different bits from the book and stuff like that, but like I just loved it. Like it was, I think Mike Flanagan has done this really beautiful thing with Doctor Sleep where obviously it is like renowned how much Stephen King hated the Kubrick version, and Flanagan has managed to marry the Kubrick thing that everyone loved and that's super iconic with the book, and like take things from the Shining book and put it in Doctor Sleep so that King's happy as well as make the fans happy.
I mean, the thing, it didn't really have a choice. Like, I know Stephen King said he wasn't going to have what Kubrick done in his book, but then you can't change it from the movie too much.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to lose the moviegoers.
Yeah.
And it's a bit hard to do it because they're the ones that are going to make the money for you.
Yeah.
It's not Stephen King that's going to do it.
Yeah.
So it must have been difficult to try and come up with a happy medium for them.
I've got a story about that, but I'm saving it for useless information. But don't worry, I've got coming up with that. I also think as well, I mean, I don't know about you, but...
Do you know? No.
Shut up, you know what I mean? I don't know about you, but I was definitely shown The Shining far too young. Like,
oh, aye.
But I feel like you're supposed to, do you know what I mean? But I remember even being young and being like, what the fuck am I watching? This is terrifying.
Aye.
Dad, why have you done this to me? But like, Jack Nicholson, I couldn't take my eyes off him, do you know what I mean? Even when he's sitting doing nothing, your eyes are just drawn to him. Like, I feel like The Shining is a lot of people's first exposure to the masterclass of a man that is Jack Nicholson. Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine loads of people watching Easy Rider. Do you know when they're younger?
And it's probably your first introduction to a Stephen King.
Totally, definitely.
Like, I got his 80s, but obviously people done that then at the TV thing and that came out. There was I don't know if there was stuff before it. I didn't look that deep.
When did Carrie come out? Carrie was the 70s, was it not? You're not a Carrie fan. No. But I like Carrie.
I mean, I think Shining was probably his first.
Huge.
I mean, I'm saying that I don't know what Carrie was like at the time when it came out.
I feel like Carrie was a bit of a success.
This would have put a lot of people onto Stephen King stuff and probably pushed for other Stephen King stuff to be made.
Totally, and especially because you've got Stephen King, renowned horror writer, and Stanley Kubrick, who was like the bee's knees at the time.
Aye.
Personally, I can take or leave the guy. Do you know what I mean?
He was a Mike Flanagan at the time.
I know. But like, Kubrick, The Shining is like the only one that I like. Like, and I'm going to say it, and this might bomb this podcast into the ground. 2001 Space Odyssey, overrated. I remember saying...
you like Clockwork Orange?
Clockwork Orange is good, actually. I take that back. Okay, Shining, Clockwork Orange. But like, whatever. I'm going to keep going before I go in too much into hating Stanley Kubrick. I do think as well, when Doctor Sleep was coming out, obviously because we loved The Shining so much, like you and me were like, no way. And we didn't even know Doctor Sleep was a book. Like we just saw this and we were like, are you fucking joking?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not going to read the book until we go and see it. And then afterwards bombed through it. And like, there's some really, we'll go into the contrast between the books and the movies and stuff like that. But Mr. King needs an editor. And obviously the movie started out for him, but sweet lord. Will we jump into thoughts and opinions?
Aye. So, the first one I thought is, do you think the Overlook Hotel is one of the best settings in a horror movie?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. There's so many, even like the outside of the Overlook, you instantly know what that's from. And there's so many bits inside it, like, never mind the carpets, which is obviously there everywhere, do you know what I mean? But even like the lifts, the hall, all this kind of stuff, like, I feel like you could show people stills of the sets and they'd be like 100% The
Aye.
Shining. Do you know what I mean?
'Cause I can't think of many other movies where the location, like that is, like that's the,
That's a character in the
aye,
film.
that, like that's the, no the bad guy, like,
Well, yeah,
but-
it is. You're totally
aye,
right.
but it's obviously it's not as simple as that, but it's like, that is the main villain, if you will.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
the hotel doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like Jack Nicholson, Jack Torrance being doing the one through it, but you
But
can
the
actually,
hotel's
you
the
get
one
the feeling
driving
that
him.
the hotel is like is the one behind all this, or is it? It's really weird to see, but it's,
Yeah.
like, it's amazing how they managed to pull it off.
No, totally. I totally agree with you. And it's like even like the maze in the hotel and stuff like that. Like you know that's from
Yeah.
like. Do you know what I mean? I think as well. See, and when you're saying that, the music really helps it be
Yeah.
the iconic villain. If you know what I mean, because if you didn't have the music in it, this is just a hotel. This is just a maze. La la la. And then as soon as it gets in, you just hear the like bom bom bom, and then like the heartbeats and stuff the way through.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, get the fuck out of the maze, like, do you know what I mean?
I know it's crazy how I bound it, and it is really memorable.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Everybody, like most movies after, like when it's a haunted house, that they try and recreate that feeling.
And I feel like most movies and stuff set around like a building. Like the only other one I can think of straight off the top of my head, like obviously I've not really looked into it in the 30 seconds since you brought it up, but like Amityville House is probably the second in my mind of being like iconic houses or like iconic buildings in movies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like that's kind of geared towards that. Oh, this is haunted.
Right,
Like, the
okay.
Overlook, it's not really a, like, nobody says, oh, this place is haunted.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the hotel itself is just doing it.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
No,
It's
totally.
Not,
It's haunted, but not haunted in the
Yeah.
way that other. I get what you mean. I get where you're going with this. I'm picking up what you're putting
I
down.
don't really think it does anything like when it's open, when the guests are there.
No.
Like in the movie anyway, they don't really obviously they don't show anything like that, and I think that was part of the Stephen King's issue with it.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is the only one I can think of out with. Like obviously you have Hill House and that, like later, but TV shows, but
Yeah.
it's heavily inspired. He's took stuff from that.
Yeah.
Obviously that's a book in itself.
No, totally. Again, that's another book that I've like not got around to because like again, this might seem a bit like, ugh, but like I just love the TV show and I don't want to read the book and it's like pure difference. You know what I mean? So I think what you're saying as well about when the hotel's open, nothing is really happening. Like
They don't mention it in the movie anyway.
no, and even in the books, it's more. It doesn't really like. Oh, there's obviously bits and bobs of like something fucky's afoot here. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But a lot of the stories in it is more about like the hotel's history rather than like the ghosts.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like in the book, there's like links with the hotel manager and like the mob, and they think the mob are trying to do something else.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
there's like going way back, and there's other stories of like cleaners like getting a bit ooky spooky in different bits and stuff. So like there's wee jabs and jabs in the book, but mostly it is just yous are locked in this hotel for like how long is it? It's like 6 months, 8 months, something like that. May to October.
October to May.
Like that's yous are in. Fucking do
Yeah.
it. You know what I
I
mean?
think that's probably how the hotel gets them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because that's not a job that most people would take.
No.
So you probably do need people that are desperate for work.
Yep.
Maybe lonely, like either go themselves or their family. But it's not going to be a job that a professional would take on.
Well, you're not going to take 6 months off of your job
It's
to
got
go.
to be
"I'm gonna stay in
somebody
this
down
hotel."
on the luck needing work, so it's kind of easier to
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the hotel, like
preys on these type of
exactly like the hotel is its own character. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's not like it is a setting, but it is its own character in the movie and in the books. Like
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? I think as well when you watch these two movies back to back, right? I do also think they work really well as like standalone. Now, obviously, The Shining was a standalone for a long
Yeah.
time, right? But even Doctor Sleep, I feel like even if you came into Doctor Sleep and you hadn't seen The Shining, it references enough of The Shining that you can be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this kid was like in a haunted house, like blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
obviously all of the callbacks, you're going to have all the Shining fans being like, yes. But like, I feel like if you hadn't seen it, you can still go into Doctor Sleep and be like, okay, all right. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think only a couple of bits would probably go over your head, but then not really, because I do think as well, The Shining is also so referenced and so like deep seated into pop culture. Like The Simpsons have done it, like all this kind of stuff.
Everybody's done it.
It's referenced everywhere. Here's Johnny is everywhere.
Yeah.
There's t-shirts, there's prints, like all this kind of stuff. So you can't be unaware of The Shining, and even if you'd never seen the movie, you would still go into Doctor Sleep and be like, the hotel with the blood, the lift with the blood, oh, the crazy carpet, oh, fucking Jack Nicholson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing I've got as well, which I think we were kind of surprised at, is the two different versions.
Yes,
which I was going into with different release dates.
Yep.
Is that the United States American version is half an hour longer than the international release?
Yep.
Which I don't know how we have never seen that before.
I know.
But when there were certain bits of this, I was like, I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, we were like, what kind of version are we watching? Like, we'd never seen
it. And it changes the whole thing.
Totally.
Like for half an hour extra, but it's a lot slower. But like there's kind of almost a sense that you're like, you know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we do know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's with Jack Nicholson, it's a lot slower. It's not just
bang, bang, bong.
Not almost an instant.
Yep.
Like the hotel's got him. And he almost plays it like he seems like more of a loser in that version.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think so. The reason they changed it was because basically Kubrick released it in the US and it got like shit reviews. Like they were like, the pacing's awful, like it's far too long, get that sorted. And the half an hour that he's taken off, it's like wee bits, but like I totally get what you mean, because when we were watching the American version, it did feel like, now how many times have we seen The Shining?
Oh God, I know.
And I even felt like we were like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like, see, even so there's like different scenes that are in it. So the one where Danny and Wendy are watching cartoons and he's like, I really want my fire truck, and she's like, shut the fuck up, your dad's sleeping. Do you know what I mean? And then he goes up, and that's obviously when it's like him sitting on the bed and it's like, you never heard mommy and me, would you? And it's like, no. Like, but it's like even all these wee build-ups of her even being like, leave her dad, leave him alone. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a bit when she's talking herself into leaving as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
when she's like pacing back and forward.
They'll just grab him, they'll just go.
Yep. And like there's a more in-depth that, like, obviously the conversation with Halloran and Danny is enough in the normal version.
Yeah.
Well, not the version that we have seen the most, but in this one it's more kind of in-depth. There's more, instead of him just being like, oh, Doc, and they're like, we've never called him Doc around you, there's more of that kind of thing. A lot more in-depth about that and about The Shining and how they shine. The maze sections a lot longer. Like, I was sitting with you and I was like, I'm sure Danny's not running this long. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's interesting how, like, he decided to cut it, because he considers the international release like the definitive cut.
Yeah.
But normally with director's cuts, it's like, oh, you're adding another 45 minutes.
Yeah. This is like, no.
Yeah.
Even like
he went the opposite of Snyder.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah, no more 4.5 hour movies, please. Like, even the bits, so his interview with like Ullman is longer in the American cut, and like they do like a full tour of the hotel, and that's kind of where the Indian burial ground stuff comes in. Like, they talk about all this kind of stuff, because do you know that I don't remember that in the, obviously the version that we've seen, it's obviously not in it, but I know loads of people had like said it, so I feel like I already knew it. So when you and me watched this and I was like, oh, I've already seen that, and you were like, no, you haven't, we have never seen this version. I was like, no, I definitely have.
Skeleton part.
I'm so glad that bit got cut. There's a bit, if you guys haven't seen the American version, when Danny and Jack are running about, Jack's full on like, Danny! And Wendy runs in. Danny boy! And the Wendy runs in, and there's just like cobwebs and dust and skeletons all over the shop, and she looks horrified, and she looks great. She's doing really well. Terrible. I'm so glad he got rid of that. It really took you out of it, man. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? I think as well, so we'll go into a bit of the Stephen King. I have Stephen King facts littered in every section, right? So if I don't cover it here, I'll cover it later on. But he obviously hated the Kubrick version. Like, the second the Kubrick version came out, King was like, nah, fuck that. Like,
I think that's why it bombed.
Yeah, because
all the fans of the books and that went.
King was like,
King's
fuck
coming out and
this,
saying no, don't
then
go
we're
and
not
see
going to
it.
watch it.
Yeah.
No, totally. But I think so Stephen King obviously like hated the film, said, and I quote, "It bastardizes my material." Yeah. Calm your fucking self, King. He obviously went and produced the miniseries of The Shining, which you and me have watched. Shite. It's yeah, no, it's shite, and it is shite. I
don't think the story's bad, but it's not greatly done.
No, like so in the book originally there is animal topiaries, is that what it's called? Yeah, like the bush, the animal bushes, like, and they like move about, and there's whole scenes where they're like chasing Danny down and stuff like that. And he put it in the miniseries, and it looked awful. It was like cartoon bushes going about.
That's the thing. See, when he obviously fucking great horror writer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always translate well to movies.
No.
And when I think film directors and that know this, but he's like, no, this in his head it must look crazy, but it doesn't come well on screen.
Oh, he's like famous like for arguing with everybody. Like, I've got some bits and useless information, but him and Flanagan went at it for a while.
Oh,
like,
wouldn't surprise me.
He's very much like, this is my vision, this is the way it is on paper, and this is what you're getting. And in the nicest way possible, no one needs an edit like Mr. King. Like, and I feel like I've seen enough King movies and I've read most of the big ones anyway of the books, and it's just like there's some things that's like, King, this is not the flex that you think it is. Like, we didn't need this bit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I also think as well, the Shining movie is similar to the book where you can be like, oh, cool. But it's also different that I feel like I can take the book and the movie and appreciate them both separately. Yeah. Like, obviously, the book goes more into like how much Jack's an arsehole and how kind of fucked up the hotel is and all of the things that Jack's done to get to where he is, kind of thing. Yeah. So like in the book there's a huge bit of that he was sacked from being a teacher because basically he batters a student and gives this student brain damage, and that's why he can't be a teacher anymore, and that's how he gets the Overlook job, because one of his alcoholic anonymous pals is like, by the way, I know this guy, he needs this, la la la. Yeah. And that's how he gets there. And there's like also more kind of bits about Danny and stuff like that, but they're separate enough that I can be like, okay, I like this bit in the book, but I'm going to go back to the movie because it does it. I don't want to piss off Mr. King himself. as if Stephen King's listening to this. You never know. See if I get an angry phone call tomorrow. I feel like the movie has all of the right bits in it, and kind of it's edited it correctly, in my opinion. Yeah. In my opinion.
No, you need to cut them down. You can't add everything.
No, absolutely not.
We'd be having orgies and fucking it if we
did.
Like...
Don't. I know. It's like, if we're going to go into like the editing that Stephen King does, like obviously, just plainly in terms of PC-ness, some of the names he calls his characters, especially in Doctor Sleep, if you know, you know, obviously that had to be changed. Do you know what I mean? And as well, within Doctor Sleep, spoiler alert, guys, if you've not read the book, Abra's mum is Danny's sister from like one time where Jack got drunk and adulterous, and it's like, oh really? Like, that's not like, I didn't need that. Like, the book is already a sequel to The Shining. I don't need you like the whole point of it is that it's about Danny and how Danny survived The Shining and how Danny is basically going in his dad's footsteps. I don't need you to crowbar in that Abra is genuinely his niece. Do you know what I mean? I don't need it.
So it's safe to say that we both agree that Kubrick is right to make the choices.
100%.
Like, to change things.
100%.
For it to be a coherent movie.
No, absolutely.
Just like a 4-hour long thing about history.
Yeah. There's like hints in the Shining movie to things, but like in the book and stuff, but the movie's where it's at, like it's you go in, he goes mental, goes amok. There's enough if you want to go down the Room 237, which we'll talk about later on in that documentary. If you want to go down that route and be like, the Indian heads mean this and this means this and this is in this, crack on. But I do think Kubrick done it right. He's made it creepy enough that you can watch it and be like, no problem. Yeah. And it's also got its separation from the book where you can just go and read the book and you're not pure offended. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
apart from Stephen King, obviously. So, like, obviously with King hating everything that Kubrick did, I think Mike Flanagan had a really hard job of being like, don't worry about it, King. I got this. I've got you. Like, sit down, my man. But he did it beautifully. He was able to really mix in the bits that everyone loves from the film, all the iconic bits from the film, in with obviously the material of the Doctor Sleep book and bringing back material from The Shining. So again, another spoiler alert if you've not read the book. At the end of The Shining book, the Overlook burns down. It's not there, gone, kaput. And in the Doctor Sleep book, basically he takes Abra back to have the big like face off with Rose on the grounds of it, and it's like, that's a bit shit. Whereas Mike Flanagan was like, no, I got you, boo. And like, even if you're not a big fan of the Doctor Sleep movie, the last 40 minutes is worth it. Like, the last 40 minutes is just all callbacks and all just look at how fucked the hotel is now. And even when Danny and Abra are standing on the stairs and Rose walks in and the chair's still toppled over and there's still the manuscript there and there's still the bit of paper, you're like, chef's kiss, Flanagan.
Aye.
To be honest, I've not watched a bad Mike Flanagan project yet, apart from the Teeny Bopper one, but that wasn't for us. Do you know what I mean? We've had enough Flanagan content. The Teeny Bopper one was for the Teeny Boppers. Like,
just couldn't get it.
He's not had a miss. And that's another reason why I'm like, why the fuck did we doubt this movie? It's Flanagan, do you know what I mean?
So I guess we'll need to just get into the documentary.
Ah.
This obsession that Kubrick never makes any mistake. I don't hear about any other director getting this treatment.
No.
Other than Kubrick, and I don't understand why.
I don't know if it's because you and me aren't Kubrick fans. Not that we're not Kubrick fans, but you know what I mean? Like, I can't really be arsed with them, to be honest.
But it's just really The Shining. Like all the other ones, they don't.
No, they do. Like they do it about. I've not seen Full Metal Jacket. You said it's very good, but there's supposed to be all these bits in Full Metal Jacket where it's like a helmet is put like a certain way to show this. I mean, it's like, did he or did the costume person just fuck up? Do you know what I mean?
Like, I don't understand this. That this thing got moved. Is it? Yeah, it's a mistake. Like, every movie has mistakes. Like, you can't. I think. Is
it though? Is it a mistake?
To do something that long, and like do it every day. That if you have to reset it perfectly, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So there's like a bit in The Shining where he's got the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs above him, and in one part when Danny's talking, Dopey's there, and the next bit Dopey's not there. Now the documentary has taken that as a Danny's awake. Danny's Shining is awake. He's no longer Dopey. And it's like, or somebody just, it fell. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
nobody knows.
It's a mistake. Starting is the big ones, the hotel, the way they lay out, that window shouldn't be there. They've just made a mistake.
Yeah.
It's not been thought through. Or it's been
or has it?
Oh, but it's just, it's just been a detail that's been passed by. And rather than sitting there, said, right, we've got the footage now. That right, we need to go back. He was already so
over
behind on this and over budget. It was like, I really want to say, I don't care.
Kubrick said it was going to take, I think it was something daft, like 12 weeks to make The Shining. Took over a year. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think
what was it? Steven Spielberg?
Spielberg, yeah. I can't remember what film it was, but it was Spielberg. Like,
I think it was Indiana Jones or something.
My God.
It held up. Is it in London? Was it Pinewood Studios?
Not Pinewood, the other one. Oh no, it is Pinewood. No, you're right. Absolutely, I was wrong. My apologies.
I was maybe there 20 days, 50 days or something.
Fucking ridiculous.
Held up everybody.
Absolutely ridiculous. I think as well, like, the documentary is very... Now, there is nothing I love more than going in depth with things. I love a metaphor. I love it. Like, I'll sit there and be like, and do you know this means this? And I don't believe it myself, but I'm here for it. But the documentary really put me off, man. I was like, I'm never analysing a movie ever again. Like, these people are cracked. Like, I mean, do what you want, do what gets through your day.
Yeah.
But to the point of where, like, the cans of soup that's got like the Indian heads on it.
Aye.
It's like at the start of the movie, it's facing right. And they were they were basically at the start it faces one way, and they were trying to say this is like the prayer of the Native American, and then at the end of the movie it's facing left, and it's like, oh, that's because they've been papped, whatever.
It goes on about like the genocide, not is it?
Yeah. And I was like,
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick.
Aye, Stephen Kubrick now, right? Fuck off.
That's his bra.
Aye, he finished it for him. But I don't think Big Steve really like. Why would he? he would never have finished the film if all this was true.
Phone him up now. Oh no, I was going to say phone him up now. But he's dead. Sorry, poor man at Kubrick.
Sorry, Stevie.
sorry, Steve. But like, we'll talk about more about Doctor Sleep, because I do feel like we've kind of hogged a bit more of The Shining. I feel like Doctor Sleep as well, I always forget how good Ewan McGregor is until we get to Ewan McGregor. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to run to the cinema to see a Ewan McGregor movie, but when I watch Ewan McGregor, I'm like, you're fucking good. Why did I never give you the time of day?
What I like about Doctor Sleep is that it just continues more the lore and the story.
Yep.
Like, obviously Danny went through all the trauma and that, what happened to him, and he's still dealing with it as an adult, and it shows you his progression.
Basically following in his dad's footsteps until somebody steps in.
An alcoholic, and like, he's fucked things up, he's done bad stuff.
Yep.
But that, and I like how it goes on more about, like, The Shining itself.
Yeah.
Like, the powers and that, because obviously you see bits of it in the original.
Yeah.
Like the original and the Shining, but like this goes into more, then you have like the True Knot and that, and how they live.
The True Knot are so interesting. Like, I know they don't really have a lot of time to go into like the full lore of the True Knot. Like, obviously there's bits where, obviously when Grandpa Flick is cycling out, she's like, oh, you were at the Colosseums in Rome, you travelled the worlds and stuff. And more in the book, it's very like, they've been here since like the fucking dawn of time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's in the book there's one that was like, I can't remember if it's Grandpa Flick or it's the other one that's like, oh yeah, he was there when like Jesus was crucified, and it's like, like the True Knot are like such a good villain group, and Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat is just sensational.
Oh, fantastic,
like as soon as the movie starts, you're like, yep, bad guys, perfect. And she's so good. I love her in anything though. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's great in everything, but she's so menacing and yet like endearing. Do you know what I mean? I love her. 40 out of 10 for Rebecca Ferguson. The baseball boy scene, say that 10 times fast, is so nasty. Like, every time you watch, it's not one of those ones like, do you know when you watch something first time and the initial shock and then you're like, oh, okay, if you watch it again?
Yeah.
This just gets worse every time you watch it.
Oh, God,
It's so, and do you know that way it's like, if you didn't know they were evil before, they're fucking evil now. Do you know what I mean? And I also think Stephen King, he loves to like abuse kids. He loves it. Does he like it?
With kids.
Yeah, does he like his own kids? Like, are his kids okay? Like, somebody phone them up. I also think as well, you said it when we were watching it, I was pissing myself, and it has to be included. The cycling out sequences in Doctor Sleep with like Grandpa Flick and that. It's just a hangover in your 30s. Like, that's just you lying on the couch like, oh, why?
The one thing I've got about the True Knot is, see, they go about, oh, you can live long and good. Is it?
Eat well, live long.
Like, why?
What do you mean?
Like, why? Like, all they're doing now is like
scrounging.
For shine or steam. Sorry, Is it why you go to all that effort if all you're going to do is to live longer as unity? You're not really living at this stage.
Yeah, well, that's what they kind of say when she's on like the watchtower. But the crow says to her,
like, we're not eating good.
Yeah, he's like, the steam isn't as strong as it used to be. If it's TV, if it's medication, blah blah blah. And they even say things like, oh, we better get to her quick before they put her on meds and stuff. And I think it's showing, like, obviously back in the day when these things weren't, like, when kids weren't on TV all the time and when they weren't like on all this stuff, it's like, oh, everything was like not better, but I mean, like, these things were more easily for them to get. Like, there wasn't any blockers, whereas now it's like, the kids don't really give a fuck.
What would be the point in living like that? Just so you can keep doing it for longer?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think at this point, to be honest, the True Knot have been around for that long. They're like, well, what the fuck else are we going to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, just because there's in the book they're kind of described as like the caravan holiday that you always get stuck behind. Yeah. Like, they're just always this big bunch of weirdo tourists, and they seem really innocent and plodding along, but in fact they're fucking monsters. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's one of those things though, like, they are just, I've never really thought that in depth, Ross. I'm really trying to think on my feet here.
I know, but it's like if somebody said to you that, right, you can
eat well, live long.
Oh, but you can live long, but you're going to keep doing this, and this. I'm like, what's the point then? I
mean, depends how much you really want immortality. See me, to shuffle me off. I don't give a fuck.
But it's hardly a life. Like when people say, "Oh, you can go in the future and do this," is it?
Why?
I still need to work in that though. What's the point? Like, so you're just going to leave everybody behind?
Yeah.
Start a new job.
Aye,
like 500 years in the future. Like what
would
would
the Tesco's look like in the future?
Aye, like what would the point be? Do you know what I mean?
Phone them up and ask.
That makes no sense to me. Just I get like there is a cool like villain group.
Yeah.
Like there's cool characters in it, like Barry the Chunk.
Yeah.
We'll call him that now.
Yeah.
Aye,
Please don't say the name he has in the book. We will get done so fast.
But is it if like then they take the wee lasses at Snakebite Andy?
Snakebite Andy, yeah.
And is it, oh, you can do this, and is it, but you're going to be starving.
Aye.
And you're just going to need to keep joining us to try and feed.
Yeah, basically, you're coming with us, and all you're going to do is just batter weights. Like, that's all you're going to do.
They're no different than just normal people having to fucking walk away to get food.
Yeah.
Like,
Except there's
shit.
like,
you ain't special, you ain't shit, man.
Yeah, except we just make money.
Aye.
You guys are murdering people.
I feel like the villains weren't thought out that way.
Aye, on you go. Tell Stephen King that.
Fuck him.
Have you got anything else, or do you want to dive into your favourite scenes?
Well, I've just got how I keep saying Stephen King.
Stanley Kubrick?
No. Mike Flanagan.
It's a bingo at this point.
How he managed to recreate like the Overlook, and like obviously you have the scene where I'm being interviewed, like Jack did in the first one. Is it like it just shows like bringing it up again? Is it how cool the fucking Overlook is?
Yeah.
Like it's so like, and even if you haven't seen any of this stuff, is that you know what it is, and this is fantastic.
I've actually got some bits about how he did it and useless information, but do you want me to fire into it now?
No, we'll go through favourite scene first, and then both of them.
Okay, just because I don't want to like say it now and then later on I'm like, oh, I have no useless information, even though I think I've got too fucking much useless information. Dive into favourite scene then?
Aye, go for it.
Okay, so do you have a favourite scene in both, or have you just got like a combined, or how have you done this?
Well, for The Shining, I've got, see when she first comes in, when he's writing, and if I'm typing, you can't, like, don't come in.
You're distracting me!
I like that one.
It's
just, and the international version, we'll call it, that's when you just start seeing I'm tweaking a wee bit.
Yeah.
But in the US
You're starting
one,
to get perplexed.
In the US one, it's kind of different, but in the UK, it's like, oh, that's, like, he's fucked. He's fucked to hear a belter.
I'm with you. I couldn't decide my favourite scene of The Shining. It's the whole fucking movie, but like, I love the Jack taking a drink with Lloyd, the bartender.
Yeah.
I love that bit. It's so good. But I also love how that is mirrored in Doctor Sleep, where Danny kind of uses that as like I don't know if you want to call it closure talk, but like when he's talking to his dad and being like, what the fuck happened to us because of you mental bastard, you know what I mean?
And it's important in both of them, because in that one, in The Shining, like in the, is it Gold Ballroom it's called?
Yes.
Is it I can sell my soul for a
drink.
That's when the hotel's like, fucking Golden Boys.
Aye.
Like, get that man a bourbon.
Rally up, boys, we're on it.
Like, then, as you say, in Doctor Sleep, because that's probably my favourite scene in
Doctor Sleep.
Aye. Like that, and it's the quote, is it, man takes a drink takes a drink, then the drink takes a man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool, suck.
And shout out to thingy who's playing Jack Torrance.
Elliot from E.T.
Aye.
Henry Thomas, is that his name in real life?
I can't remember now.
Elliot from E.T.
Yeah. And every Mike Flanagan thing now.
Yeah, honestly, you just need to make pals with Mike Flanagan. You are never going to be unemployed ever again.
He's got the group that he works with.
And they're in everything, 100%.
Aye. And they're all good. It's no... There's
not one bad
terrible.
one.
Aye.
Yeah, totally. I think between that and also I had the I'm not going to kill you, I'm just going to bash your brains in. Like, that bit is so good, but also whenever I watch it now, I can only hear Homer Simpson in my head being like, Marge, give me the bed, boo, give me the bed. So, Doctor Sleep, genuinely for me, it's any scene with Rose the Hat. I just think Rose the Hat is absolutely class. But I didn't know if this was a cop-out, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't just the last 40 minutes. But then I feel like it's like, just watch The Shining, Lauren. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like as soon as it gets to Ewan McGregor and Abra being like, I need to wake her up, I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, from the top, boys.
That's one of the bits that I feel that if they'd done it through the book, like, I
It would be
imagine Stephen
shite.
King fought for it. Is it this is the ground it was on? And is it wouldn't be the same?
Yeah, I don't
Like,
care.
The ending would have been no, it'd have been bad because it's still been a good movie, but it wouldn't have had that
Nah.
like the fucking gravitas that it had.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're
totally.
like you don't know where you're standing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know where you are.
Check yourself, girl.
Aye.
But I think as well, so in the book of The Shining and obviously in the miniseries, there's huge emphasis on the boiler and that Jack Torrance has to drain the boiler or the fucking hotel's going to blow up, basically. And on the day that Jack Torrance is like proper possessed, that's the day that he forgets to dump the boiler. And that's basically the hotel blows up. And obviously that didn't happen in the Kubrick version, thank Christ. And I think in Doctor Sleep, in that last bit, that's where it combines the two of them perfectly. Do you know what I mean? Because you're still getting all the good bits, but you're getting you didn't check the boiler, and you're like, fuck. And then the hotel does burn down. So King gets his way in the end, do you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
no,
that must have been one of the.
pure satisfying as fuck.
It's doing that. It must have been one of the things. Is that no? This hotel has to burn down.
Yeah.
I imagine that would have been a stipulation for them to make this.
Absolutely. What about you in Doctor Sleep? Just the Lloyd the bartender?
Lloyd the bartender saying aye.
Yeah, I'm with you. I also love as well, this is like an honourable mention I want to say, is see the bit in the supermarket when Abra sends her flying.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's like such a small scene. I just think it's class. Just think it's
Aye.
great. Just love it. Love everything. Right, will I dive into useless information?
Aye, go for it.
Go and get yourself a cup of tea, Ross. I'm going to be here for a while.
Fucking better no.
What did we say at the start? This is not going to be a 4-hour
Aye.
fucking podcast. So, Stephen King got the idea to write The Shining after being the last person to check out of a hotel. And then obviously that set the cogs burning of like, He was also prime alcohol addiction. And also, we all know Stephen King's drug addiction history. But at this point, he was really in the trenches with the alcohol. So that obviously kind of spurred on. And then it was in a later interview, Stephen King said that Danny was one of the few characters that he's ever written about that's really stayed with him. And he would just like sit sometimes and think about, I wonder what Danny would be like now. And that's obviously what spurred him on to write Doctor Sleep. So thank you, Mr. King. I'm not going to go too in depth on The Shining useless information because it's everywhere, and I'm going to just tell you the same.
Nothing new's going to come out of it.
Exactly. Like, I'm just going to tell you the same 40 things you already know.
You hear about all the famous ones that, like, you have it on YouTube because the film, was it his daughter?
Yeah, his daughter did the documentary.
Or his wife, was it? Well, whoever it was.
No, it was his daughter.
Was
his daughter filmed the documentary of the behind the scenes
stuff. Like, there's a mountain of stuff out there already.
Yeah, like all the doors that get burst and like, I've picked like some of my favourite like Shining thingies that I think is cool. So the opening shot of The Shining was then used in the original cut of Blade Runner. So that's when Deckard is like driving away in the car, and that's The Shining. And I remember like we did media studies in school, and our teacher was obsessed with Blade Runner. I remember watching that, and I was like in the back of the class, like, that's the fucking Shining. Like, also, what I love, and there's videos of it on YouTube. Definitely look it up. It's totally worth a watch. When they were filming The Shining, Kubrick worked really, really hard to make sure that Danny Lloyd, who played wee Danny, would think that the movie was a comedy. So there's like clips of Kubrick running about being like, tag you it, and then Danny runs like fuck, and somebody's running behind him with the camera, and Kubrick's like, oh, I'm coming to get you, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like you hear Danny like pure laughing as he's running away. Cut to how it's edited with the music over it, and you're like, what the fuck? And all that. And it's like there's bits where it's like, play hide and seek, right, I need you to go and hide in there, and there'll be like wee camera guys being like, quick, he's coming, jump in there. And that's how they would get all this stuff. And I just think that's so mad, but like great. Do you know what I mean? Because you hear about the treatment that Linda Blair went through when they were making The Exorcist. It's like some directors just did not give a fuck. They were like, you're getting traumatized, mate.
They're more interested in just making a movie.
Exactly. Whereas like I think the fact that now obviously it's infamous on how Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall, and I do think it's really interesting.
Ridiculous.
He like abused her, man. And I do feel like it's really interesting how Shelley Duvall was treated like a piece of shit on the movie, and she was degraded degraded every day. God, say that.
Degraded.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Degraded.
But I do think she was degraded every day on set, and they were basically like just screaming at her all the time. She smoked about 100 fags a day, and then to be like with wee Danny, like, right, man, let's go play a game, let's go. Do you know what I mean? I think there you go. We already kind of touched on the US stuff, so I'll jump on to some Doctor Sleep facts, which I think are kind of cool. So Mike Flanagan went to the Kubrick estate and asked for the original blueprints of the Overlook Hotel to basically recreate all the sets, and he spent months purely just on making the sets, making sure they were perfect. So even the scene in Doctor Sleep where they're in Ullman's office, but it's like the Bruce Greenwood character, down to the placement of the pens, if you put side to side, they're the exact same, even down to like the minuscule things of like where the flag is and shit. Do you know what I mean? Also, in the first scene where Azzy the cat in the hospital goes to the first patient, Danny's reading the 1978 Playgirl magazine, which is the magazine that Jack was reading in The Shining before his interview with Ullman, which I thought was kind of cool. So while making the movie, Flanagan had to go into heavy negotiations with King because Stephen King didn't want the original Overlook featured at all. Like, he hated Kubrick's version, and also, obviously, it burns down. So he didn't want anything. He basically just wanted Flanagan to make a whole new thing, a whole new Overlook.
You couldn't do that.
I know. Like, and Flanagan basically, it was weeks of negotiations, basically, of being like, listen, I'm giving you this. I need you to give me this. Because Flanagan was basically saying that due to audiences being so familiar with the Overlook and this being such an iconic movie.
People remember the plot of the movie than the differences in the book.
Absolutely. So, like, King finally kind of gave in, let him add his things as long as he was more faithful to the Doctor Sleep book, which he really is, and he really it must have been a fucking job that Flanagan had on trying to juggle the source material you're trying to make, the movie that the writer of the book didn't love but everyone else loves, and the book that the writer loves that everyone was like, all right, no more. And he did it perfectly. And then after seeing the movie, Stephen King said, and I quote, "Everything I disdained about the Kubrick version was redeemed for me in Doctor Sleep. Mike Flanagan is a genius." And you are correct, sir. You are correct.
That's good a praise you're going to get.
Totally. Ewan McGregor isn't a horror fan and had never watched The Shining before filming Doctor Sleep. I was like, McGregor.
An actor?
Fucking
a bit strange, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? And then, last one. The original Danny is one of the AA members in Doctor Sleep.
Okay.
He's
That's
never
cool.
been in anything else since The Shining, but he came back for
I
a
wonder why he
cameo.
didn't.
Just probably never asked. Probably was like, oh, I had fun. And then went to like another set and was like, they don't want to play Tig with me, I'm away.
You're in the fucking Shining? Like,
apparently it was like years later. Like, he didn't know he was in a horror movie until he was like 17. He was like, what the fuck is this?
Fair enough.
So, do you want to move on to A?
The only one I've got for The Shine, I think, was how did the hotel stay open for 6 months and like make money?
What, like only open for 6 months? Well, they say it's a skiing thing, don't they?
No. Remember in the US version, I'm surprised you don't open for winter for the skiing. And is it, nah? Like, we weren't, like, it wasn't really popular, is it? But you could change your rules now.
100%. And also, I'm not being funny.
How much is that hotel?
What's
that hotel charge?
Well,
a fucking fortune.
If it's only open for 6 months. Yeah, true. Do you know what? I never thought about that. I was just like, oh, okay, like the hotel shut. I've never thought about it.
And I think, like, 6 months go by, right? You're at a job for 6 months. Obviously, you'll need to go find other work.
Well, so, in the book. Basically, Dick Halloran is in The Shining for 6 months and then goes down to
He's in
Maine.
The Shining for 6 months, the hotel for 6 months.
He's in the Overlook. He's in the Overlook for 6 months. And then he goes down to Maine to work with his pal in the Black Spot, which is in the It book.
Okay.
And then when that burns down, spoiler for the It book, he goes and works in Florida for 6 months, so he's just kind of bouncing between the two. So that's like a wee bit of that, but I was the same as you. I didn't really have a lot of A's. Like, it's all just like, I don't know if they're A's or just it was the 70s. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
I do have a small one. I know we went into the documentary of 237, but it's just mad. Like, when you watch all the stuff and it's like, obviously there's all the thing with like the Apollo, is this Kubrick admitting he filmed the moon landing
It's a lot of shit.
and all this kind of shit. I'm just like, go off, King, whatever you want.
Yeah,
but
pish.
There's like so many things that like people really cling to that are like an and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, it's not that deep.
And while we're on that subject of people clinging to things that aren't fucking true, right? I'm saying it right here, right? So there's this theory, I can't remember if it was in the documentary or not, but it is out there that Danny was sexually abused by Jack. I'm telling you right fucking now, as someone who has seen the movie, the miniseries, and read both the books, lies. Liza Minnelli, lies. It never happened. Jack physically abuses his kid, which is also not great, but Danny is never touched. But I think there is obviously the thing in the Stephen King shared universe, the multiverse, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that the shining does happen to people who are like traumatized. So like there's the thing of like the kids in It kind of shine, but it's never called the shining.
Yeah.
There's things in like other ones. And obviously Dick Halloran has the shining and he was touched by his granda in the book.
Aye.
But nothing about Danny is ever said. Jack has never done that. Jack is just an arsehole that batters his way.
Yeah.
And that's so bad, but he does not touch his kids. And I will die on this hill. The amount of things I've seen, I'm like, no, didn't happen. Liza Minnelli. And that's all I have to say on that.
Oh, fair enough.
Sorry, I was really railed up there, man. I fucking hate that shit. So, this is another one that I don't know if this is an A or it was the 70s, and you can tell me. When Wendy is talking to the doctor and she's telling the story about how Jack broke Danny's arm, no reaction. No reaction from the doctor at all. Like, you're just being told that her husband broke her kid's, or dislocated her kid's shoulder, and you're just going to sit there and be like, okay, have a good one. Like,
what can she do?
It was the 70s. Also, when Wendy tells Jack about the crazy lady who strangles Danny in room 237, he goes up to investigate, and then immediately, because it is a naked woman, he's like, I ain't bother.
He was half canned, I know.
I was still, but do you know what I mean? I'd be like, I don't care how good looking you are, you've just strangled my Wayne. Let's have this out.
I mean, he's gone mental at the time. The hotel's taking him over.
Yeah, whatever. Like, she just tried to kill your Wayne, and you're not going to be like, hold the nookie for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
What part of the hotel's taking him over are you not getting here?
Okay, fine. I also think in Doctor Sleep, God, I do have quite a few.
A lot,
sorry about that. See, to be honest, some of these I'm clutching, do you know what I mean? Because I think these movies are perfect. In Doctor Sleep, everyone reacts really well to like Danny's shine. Like when he tells the doctor, oh, the watch is up there, and then when he says to Billy, oh, I need you to listen to this and I need you to believe me, everyone's so chill about it. They're so calm. Like, could you imagine one of your pals coming and being like, Ross, I need to tell you something.
Tell him fuck off.
Do you know what I mean? I also think as well, so this is my last A. This is my last one. So Rose the Hat, when she's in Abra's head, basically gets her hand degloved, right? Like, she is fucked up after going in Abra's head. And yet takes those slashes to the back of the knee like a champ when she's in Danny's mind. So I'm like, is it just because Abra is like super powerful that she can physically harm you? And is it because obviously she says like Danny's steam is like older and greasier, it doesn't have the power that it does? But then when she's sucking the steam out of him, she's like, oh, this power and you're so grown up. Do you know what I mean? So I had a question there. That's
so what is your either?
That obviously when she's in Abra's head, she gets degloved, and when she's in Danny's head, she gets chips to the back of the knees, but then is like walking about pure fine when they get back to real life out the heat, and there's like not a mark on her, and then she's like,
you don't see her knees though.
You do. I was fucking looking. There is not a bit of ripped jean. There is not a bit of blood at the back of her knees, because it goes to the back of her when she's doing that. Like, oh, I'm on. No, I looked at this. I was in debt.
Calm down. Right, it's screaming like an idiot, man. So you're saying being degloved?
From being in someone's head.
Right.
Which then when
but
she
if
falls
you're being
back,
degloved, getting cut in the knees wouldn't it be that painful?
Yeah, but like when she shut up, Ross.
She's fucking lost all the skin.
But that's what I'm saying. She loses the skin of her hand in Abra's heat, and then when she gets chucked back onto her place in the watchtower, her hand is fucked. Like, you can see the skin on the hand.
That would be far more painful
Yeah,
If you could take that, getting chipped the knee, you're like, you know what?
you are
You're not
not
even
listening
dating.
to the words coming out of my mouth.
I am.
Right. But then when Abra's running about in Danny's mind, slashing her knees, and her knees are all cut up the back, like when it goes back to in the bit, there's nothing
I
on her
think another
knees.
thing,
And
though,
that's why I'm saying,
I think
is it because...
another thing you might be missing is because she's took all the steam as well.
Okay.
Because even a bit with the axe and all that, like
Yeah,
she
you're
just,
right.
also
She
took
takes
it in
out
the
that
shoulder.
champ, I
But
know you're right.
I think that she's just that hopped up and steamed.
Just steamed at her
Aye.
tits, no fair play. Because that's how I was thinking, like, obviously, because she says, like, oh, Jack, I can see, not Jack, Danny, I can see, like, the grease all over
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
like, your shine's
Aye.
not where it is. I was like, oh, is it because his mind isn't as, like, powerful as Abra's?
Yeah, no, I get you. I think it's just the steam. She's that hopped up on it. And because she took them all, didn't she?
Yeah,
Is that
tanned
that's
a lot.
probably not feeling a thing?
Tanned the lot. Fine, I'll go fuck myself then.
Oh, well, I think you shall, aye.
Have you got anything else? Any other ace?
No, the only one, but do you know, I think about it, it's probably not. Is
No,
it?
no.
How did the True not know about the Overlook? Like, not know about Danny before? Because it shows you.
But that's what she says. She says in the movie, how did we not
No,
know
but
about you
what
sooner?
I'm getting is it shows you the missing poster of the wee lassie.
Yes.
And I know he said he didn't shine, but
Yeah, he says to Halloran, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to shine anymore.
that was after the wee lassie went missing. Do you think all the events of what happened in the Overlook? Because remember, she said that the more powerful, like, of was it 1,500 miles?
Yeah,
Surely
because...
they would have noticed her, but you don't know what they were doing at the time.
Yeah,
so you
sure.
can't really.
I'll phone them up, right? I'll reread the Doctor Sleep book now you've asked me this.
It doesn't
like,
really explain it in the movie. It's just like, oh, how did we not find you? And is it, how did you know?
Tell me
By all
those, how did
accounts,
you know?
he was meant to be this.
He was meant to be Abra before Abra
Aye.
was Abra, yeah.
Well, he didn't really know, but it's kind of that with Overlook. They said it amplified his shine. So how did they not see him?
Yeah, it said it
Like,
lit it
feel
up.
him anyway?
Like the,
Aye.
Yeah.
Is that 1,000 batteries or something? He says in it.
Go for it.
Is it how did they not pick? How did they not pick up on it?
I will reread Doctor Sleep and I'll let you know. And then if anyone
It
that's
could just
listening
be a
cares,
thing
I'll
in the
let them know
movie.
too.
It could just be like the movie's just oh, we need a line here.
Taddled, I gone for it. So normally we have best kill, worst kill, but obviously there's only really a couple of deaths. So we've done best ghost, worst ghost.
Yeah.
So who's your best ghost?
Probably Grady.
Grady? I had to correct her.
Aye.
I had the iconic dog suit ghost.
I've got as my worst.
Oh really? Right,
Aye.
okay. Oh, so that's your worst ghost? Alright. My worst ghost is the bathtub woman. But that's for like a whole other fucking reason. Like that woman traumatized me.
Aye. Would that not make it the best ghost though?
No, worst.
Because it's that scary?
No, bin. Absolute bin. See, when I was a kid, my gran had a green bathroom and I would literally go to the toilet before I went to my gran's and wait until I came home from my gran's. I would not step foot in her bathroom
Fucking
because
hell,
she
man.
had a green bathroom. And then me, my mum and dad used to go on holiday up north quite a lot. And my dad, this is how, top class parenting, Drew, right? My dad showed me The Shining the day before me and my mum and dad was going on holiday up north, right? And we got there and I was like obviously pure freaked out. I must have been about 9 or something, 8 or 9 when I watched The Shining, which I don't really know if that's too young, but whatever. And then we went up and the B&B that we were staying in had a green bathroom and my dad burst out laughing and I was like, no, Dad, no. Like, had to keep like the light on and the door a wee bit open when I was going to the toilet because I was like, no, please. Like, that woman, fucking terrifying. And then I thought I would be over it because I'd seen The Shining about a million times. And then we went to see Doctor Sleep and I was like, no, the fear is still there. That woman haunts my nightmares. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Do you have a worst guy whose hairline's receding?
No, I think everyone's pretty good.
I had the bathtub woman purely for the childhood trauma.
I know, like, there's none of them you're thinking
Nah.
that, no, you're at a place here, you're not good.
No. And, like, everyone's great. Like, everyone in The Shining's great. Everyone in Doctor Sleep's great.
Yeah.
There's not anyone that you're watching this and you're like, oh, you shouldn't be in this film. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the woman, his landlord.
Oh, she's in it for like 5 minutes, man.
No, but she's a fucking arsehole.
How? She gonna no wreck my house, no bother.
He knew, like, oh, he's got alcohol, which I don't care, 85 a week.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
See as well,
Let
right?
the guy recover.
See, this is an A that I've just thought of, right, off the back of what you've said, the landlord lady, right? Know how when Abra sees Baseball Boy getting murdered and she screams and it wrecks Danny's gaff as well? How did that wake no one up? Because he bounces straight off the bed, it cracks the wall, and everyone's like, oh, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, by that time he was kind of well respected in that.
Aye, true,
So
they're
probably,
like,
you've been good for 8 years. Just
fucks
an
up with him,
accident.
man. Do you have any discount versions of?
All the ghosts, like all the when they played the old characters in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, like Flanagan's Posse.
They are the discount versions of.
I wouldn't give discount version to Elliot for ET, but he does it well enough. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just me.
Like they are discount versions.
Yeah.
Like
no,
it's exactly what the category is.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Like there's lesser people playing these like iconic characters.
Yeah.
No lesser people, but
I know what you mean. My dad always said that Christian Slater was like a discount version of Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And I thought the Doctor.
He should have played Lloyd.
Oh my god! I think Christian Slater's a bit past it.
No, about the same age.
Really?
It would have been. Aye.
Go for it. Aye, because you were saying you'd read that people were moaning that Jack Nicholson didn't have a cameo in Doctor Sleep, and it's like, have you seen Jack Nicholson now?
I wouldn't have what?
He old, fat, and fucked, and doesn't really he doesn't care. He just is on his boat.
Aye. Living a good life. Guy's fucking nearly 90, surely.
He is one that I'm dreading that, like, the allegations come out against. Like, he's one that I'll be devastated.
Oh, they're probably already out
No,
there.
I know, but I'm just not looking it up, which probably makes me a terrible feminist, but I would honestly be devastated if, like, stuff came out about Jack Nicholson. I'd be absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I thought the Doctor treating Danny was like, she looks like a discount Ellen Burstyn, but then you were like, to me, you don't really see her that much in the international version. Like, I think the US version that we watched, you really get in on her face.
Yeah.
Whereas the international version, it's just like, oh, your Wayne's a bit fucked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they cut quite a lot of her out.
So if whatever version you're watching, look out for the Doctor. She looks like Ellen Burstyn.
Aye.
Do you have any eyemouths?
Not really.
I don't. The only thing that I'm a bit like,
the only bit would be the fucking skeleton bit, but that's hardly.
But that's not even in it.
Yeah, it's hardly a
that's
long
in
enough
one
time.
version. Yeah,
Aye.
I'm the same. Like, see, I don't have any eyemouths for The Shining. Like, inject that into my veins. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Doctor Sleep, the only bit that I'm out of is when Danny and Abra, after they've like killed the crow and she's away and they're on their way to the Overlook. It's probably not even that long, do you know what I mean? But it just feels like they're driving for fucking ages before you get to the Overlook. But then I suppose you've just went through this crazy, like, everyone's dying, to then, like, quiet before it gets there.
Yeah, aye.
And I understand it was supposed to build suspense, but I was like, oh man, I'm done. Like, I'll make my lunch for the morning.
Just hurry up, aye.
Yeah.
Because you know the Overlook's coming, though.
And you're hyped and you're ready to go.
Aye.
Yeah. Because I made sure to, like, elbow me when we saw Doctor Sleep in the cinema, because I was like, yes, the whole 40 minutes to the end.
Aye.
Well, guys, that's the end of our double feature. I feel a bit cheeky calling it a double feature because we went into Everton, we went into the books, miniseries.
I think it's double feature still.
Perfect. Next week, we have been asked on Instagram to do more comedies, but you and me are really going to need to think about this because we think two completely different things are funny.
Yeah.
Like, we have very different tastes in comedy.
Uh-huh.
So, you might be waiting a couple of weeks for comedy, guys, because it'll just turn into a domestic between the two of us. Be like, that was shite. So we'll see. We're not too sure what next week's episodes will be. We'll probably put an Instagram poll out again. But give us a follow on Instagram if you want to get involved. And thank you so much for listening. And thanks for being super cool about us having a week off last week. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Danny boy!